Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. You know why you're here. I know why you're here. So let's go ahead and get into part 7, I do believe, part 6 or 7. I think we're on 7 of the Micah Miller investigation. Today we're going to go through a lot of information, but a lot of that information is going to pertain to JP's dad, which is just mind blowing. And in the previous videos, we talked about Pakistan, and today we're gonna get a little further in depth into what that was, because I remember reading it and I was like, I'm not entirely sure what that means, like what they were doing over there. If they have another mission in Pakistan, I wasn't sure. So we're gonna get further into that today, and we're going to watch videos from her name is Kyler, and she has a TikTok and a Facebook that we're going to kind of like go in between. We're also going to watch more Robbie Harvey and read his Facebook as well. But Kyler, we will go on to and I'll show you videos of Kyler's introduction to what is going on, so we can dive further into that. And the reason why I wanted to look at Kyler's information is because she lives in South Carolina, and she has been talking to the family and working with the family's PI. Okay, so we're going to dive further into Kyler's TikTok, and the TikTok and the Facebook, they have similar content. However, the Pakistan videos are on the Facebook, so we're going to have to hop in between, and because of hopping in between, this was going to be way too much information for me to screenshot, screen record, and then put on the video. So what I'm going to do, and I hope y'all don't mind, is I'm just going to screen record my whole entire screen. So it'll be so much easier in the editing process, which means y'all will get the video sooner. So if I do get like caught up in doing something and it takes a little bit of time, I'll just edit that part out. But for the sanity of myself, because I am finding myself getting overwhelmed, and because there's just so much information, digging in deep of JP's dad and his past, it is so much that I'm getting a little bit overwhelmed. So putting it in or screen record, it's just so much easier. So again, if I fumble a little bit or whatever, I'll just edit that part out. So let's go ahead and look at Kyler's TikTok, and this will be an introduction of how Kyler's involved with the investigation and where she's from, essentially. Okay, we're gonna watch the first video, just an introduction, so we know who Kyler is and why she's involved. Here we go.
Hey guys, it's Kyler. I've been told that people want me on TikTok for the Micah Miller case. I swore I would never do this, but I'm going to do it because I think the more exposure, the better. I do have a lot of stuff on my Facebook. If you guys have seen it, you can search my name, Kyler Marlowe, and it'll all come up. Everything that I have been sent, I have protected the identities because these are dangerous people that we're dealing with, and I do not want anyone's information getting out there, but I promise you that all of my sources are very reliable. I am not a reporter. I am not a detective, even though I wish I could be. I don't want to be a cop first, so there's that. But thank you guys so much for helping us make this case go viral. Micah deserves it, and so do the rest of the victims. And we won't stop till we get justice. Hey guys, it's Kyler. I've finally compiled my list of everything I know about this case. It's a lot, so I did write it down. I wrote it myself. Proof right here. This is my personal laptop. I'm just gonna read it off the paper because I'll forget if I don't. So, before I start this, I want to remind everyone of a few things. I am not a reporter, I'm not a journalist, and I'm not a detective. I'm just an advocate who communicates well, is good at gathering facts, and good at digging. I want to thank all of the people behind the scenes on social media who have given me this information, and I promise you that your identities are safe with me and always will be. So here we go. Micah Miller was a 30-year-old woman living in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. She was married to John Paul Miller, the pastor of Solid Rock Church near the Myrtle Beach airport. Micah was found shot in the head fatally in Lumber River State Park in Lumberton, North Carolina on Saturday, April 27th, 2024. Micah and her blood family have no connections in Lumberton. There was a rumor that she was shot in the back of the head, but per Micah's blood family, this has not been confirmed. There was also concern that JP was going to have her cremated, but this was stopped, and her family did get to see her body. Her husband deemed it a suicide on stage at his church the morning after her death, saying it was self-inflicted and his wife was mentally ill. However, I don't think there is anyone in the world at this point who believes this narrative. Why? JP Miller was known to be an adulterer and abuser. I've had tons of people messaging me since last weekend coming out about how unhinged JP was, not only on stage, but in his personal dealings with former members of his church. What kind of grieving husband could stand on stage the morning after his wife's death, preach an entire sermon with no emotion, and then talk about her so poorly in front of his congregation? It was suspicious from the start. But over the past week, I have gathered more and more information with the help of our community and done a lot of digging, and I now believe this case to be far more sinister than I could have imagined. My social media inbox flood started with tips of JP being seen with his mistress around town since the year of 2021. I learned about his mistress's late husband, who was paralyzed and lived his life in a wheelchair, dying of a drowning in a community pool that year. This was apparently investigated and deemed a suicide, but again, nobody is convinced of that, especially given his history. I have been getting message after message of witnesses stating how they were treated by JP when they decided to leave the church, from verbal harassment to public shame. Not only did he mistreat these people,
I thought it was just an accidental death. I didn't know that it was deemed a suicide. That's interesting.
but he mistreated Micah from the start. Micah was 14 or 15 when she was a member of his youth group at Solid Rock, and JP was in his mid-30s at that time. He was married with children and cheated on his wife with Micah. Micah used to babysit their children. I remember firsthand that Micah got a lot of hate back then, but I always saw her as a victim of grooming, as did most of her friends and family.
I could understand how she was getting so much hate because they were cheating with, she was cheating with a married man that had kids, and she was the nanny. So I can understand, like, where the hate would come from. Obviously, like, right now, we don't want any hate going towards Micah. Absolutely not. However, I think we can all agree that she was in the wrong when she was cheating on. We could also say that there was grooming from JP to Micah, but at the end of the day, he was still married, a married man who had kids, and so of course, like, it's still wrong at the end of the day. So I can understand, like, her getting a lot. Not saying it's a good thing. I'm not saying, like, oh, she deserved it. I'm not saying that at all. But I'm saying I can understand where that hate would come from. Her getting a lot of hate because she was having an affair with a married man.
They eventually married and built a life together. Micah loved Jesus and was extremely active in the church, but so many people have told me that they stood by and watched as JP slowly drained the life out of her with his abuse. He shared intimate things about their relationship on stage during sermons and cheated on her multiple times during their marriage, just like he did to his previous wife. The abuse was not only sexual, but verbal and mental as well. Micah filed for divorce originally in October of 2023. Her last few posts on Facebook before she died were about getting baptized at a new church and vague videos touching on domestic abuse and being forced to take drugs. Never once did she name JP or give details, but reading between the lines is pretty easy. And those
I don't know if you can hear this, but literally every dog in this house, they're all howling. All right.
That know her knew that it was about him. These videos are still public and on her Facebook today, as JP thankfully does not have access to it. The day after her death, JP was seen with his mistress in public at Coastal Grand Mall. This man has not once appeared to be grieving his late wife. I believe that this mistress is probably a victim as well and has been for years. I haven't been able to confirm how long they've been together. Allegedly, when Micah escaped JP in February of 2024, which was only a few months ago, a friend of hers was hiding Micah in their home to keep her safe from him. Micah has told this friend that JP used to sexually abuse her, make her watch him have sex with other people, among other terrible things. She found out he was doing things with the money from the church that he shouldn't, and he then put her in a mental institution because of it. She ran to her friend who ended up hiding her and told her, "I am not mentally ill. I'm not sick. I don't want to harm myself. He is going to make it look like I killed myself. He's trying to frame me. One day I know he's going to do it." This statement has thankfully been given to police. I also have a screenshot in my phone of Micah texting with a friend about her relationship with JP and how excited she was to rebuild her life without him, and that she was sorry she didn't listen to her sooner. On April 23rd of 2024, the day before she died, a temporary hearing date was set for Micah and JP's divorce. The relief hearing date was set for June 5th of 2024. Anyone can pull this file from the family court records. The case number is 2024, D as in dog, R as in Robert, 2600860. According to a family member of JP and his father both have mental health issues and were being treated for bipolar disorder. JP also has assault and battery charges on him from beating his ex-wife and a deadly weapon charge. JP's older son also has a history of domestic abuse against his wife and served time for hitting her over the head with a glass bottle in January of 2024. So the entire family is clearly not mentally stable. Then I started...
This is why, I'm sorry the mouse was like in the middle of her face the whole time. That was annoying. I apologize. This is why I wanted to get into these videos, because some of the things about JP's past, about his dad and his son, are like screaming mental illness in this Miller family. And it is, I don't even have a word for it, but you can just see, it's like a paper trail. Like, you can just see it generation to generation, just kind of like seeping through. It's absolutely bananas.
Messages about JP's dad, Wayne Miller. This is where the plot thickens and it gets even more fishy. I am going to put this in a separate video. All right, buckle up, because this is where it gets wild. JP's dad, Wayne Miller, has a history of sex crimes against him in other parts of South Carolina. The city of Marion had leased him an abandoned hospital for pennies on the dollar back in 2015. He moved his Bible college there that year, which was his last run at a big Bible college before he actually did jail time for 8 months or so. He also had federal charges from ICE for abusing immigrant students while in Marion. You can do your own digging on this, but to sum it up, he was run out of the Florence and Marion areas for these charges. Interestingly enough, JP's father was also exposed recently for sexual acts against men in Pakistan, where homosexuality is illegal. This was in 2000.
We have video. We'll get into this.
2023, which was not that long ago. Dr. Jerry Savelle, who was a big name in evangelism, he started a church in Pakistan that Wayne Miller was associated with. Jerry passed away recently as well, 2 weeks before Micah, on April 14th, with no clear cause of death other than it was a heart attack. On my Facebook page is a link to a public news video from Pakistan talking all about this. It's not in English, but there is an English video translation typed below the video. In it, you can see them talk about how Dr. Jerry Savelle didn't know all the bad stuff Wayne Miller was doing or realize what he was contributing to, so he cut ties with Miller when he found out. The video also references a friend of Wayne Miller's named Tory, T-O-R-Y. Based on Troy Taylor's Instagram photo of him wearing his Pakistan outfit, as referenced in his public Instagram caption, his known friendship with Wayne, and the timeline of the photo that was posted on Instagram, I believe it's actually his friend Troy. On iPhone, Troy autocorrects to Tory. Now, those of you who don't know about Troy Taylor, I'm about to tell you. But if you live in Myrtle Beach, you probably know who he is. Troy Taylor went to jail 20 years ago for a molestation scandal at Low Country Community Church in Myrtle's Inlet, South Carolina, where he was the pastor at the time. He was released because of a discrepancy in the case that is not really known to the public. You can find a lot about Troy and his charges online, just like you can about Wayne. It's also been confirmed that Wayne and Troy are currently roommates. Troy went by Robert Anthony Perez on Facebook and has taken his page down as of the last couple of days. After posting this video, the Pakistan video, I got a message confirming that everything in the Pakistan news report was true. Miller would throw his money around in Pakistan and was literally called the Great Gay White American Christian in Pakistan. He would sexually coerce Pakistani locals for sexual favors that became forceful. I received a photo of Miller and Taylor with 2 Pakistani people at the Myrtle Beach airport recently, and more information about that whole scandal. Miller had a plan to make a false accusation in the Pakistan court system because he was about to be exposed for his homosexual relationship and all of the sexual abuse he was committing there. And the false allegations he made were proven to be false by Pakistan this past October. So he then fled the country. He had his homosexual lover come to America with his sister, and Troy was the sponsor to marry the sister so they could come here legally. Miller and Taylor have been seen by multiple witnesses going around Myrtle Beach to different churches and communities with these Pakistani people to put on a scheme about their Pakistan mission, which is not a mission at all. It's all a money-making ploy. I'm sure you might be wondering now, what does this have to do with Micah? If you remember earlier in this video, I mentioned that Micah told her friend that she had found out JP was doing things with church money that he shouldn't have. I truly believe after connecting all of these dots that Micah was murdered because she knew too much. And once
This is exactly what I was saying. I don't remember. There's been so many parts. I don't know which part it was, but I remember saying once we found out that the FBI was going to get involved and or has been involved, I remember saying, this is like, I think this is why Micah is dead, because she knew too much, and the knowing too much had everything to do with money. Wherever, like, whatever the story was, whatever, just money, anything, like, it had to do with money. But now we have this whole Pakistani mission that isn't even like a mission, allegedly, not even like a mission at all. It's for freaking, I mean, what, sex and money. This is crazy.
left JP saw.
But I will say again, whatever you do in the dark will come to the light. Surely your sins will find you out. This is exactly what is happening. Man, what's his name? JP's dad, Wayne. He needs to be trembling in his little boots, because like this is and it's not even the locals just knowing about it. It is everybody in the whole nation. No, more like in Pakistan, like there are countries that know about this shit now. Like, this is going not just nationwide, but this is globally, is what I meant to say. This is a global. Your name is tarnished globally, as it should be.
As a threat that could expose him and his family for their crimes. Also, what if Jerry Savelle and JP's mistress's late husband also knew about these things? How long has this been going on? This morning, I also learned from someone who sat in one of JP's sermons a while back that he referenced someone donating a private plane to the church during service. This was about 6 to 7 weeks ago, give or take. This came out of JP's mouth firsthand on stage. There is actually speculation that this plane was purchased rather than donated to hide assets, whatever that means. But this is also not yet confirmed. There is also speculation that he is trying to flee Myrtle Beach to Bermuda, where his father has connections from years ago. As of a couple of days ago, I have also been told that JP sold his shares in Crocodile Rocks, which is the famous dueling piano bar in Myrtle Beach that he had partial ownership of for years. Why does a pastor need to be partial owner of a bar?
Thank you. We said the same thing. It's freaking weird. I don't care if you're having a drink once in a while, or if you're like, whatever, if you're having a drink with your dinner, okay. But come on, man, a pastor owning having assets too, but it's weird. And then, okay, so when she said, JP, when he was talking to his congregation, he said something flippant like, "Oh, people think we got the plane to hide assets." It is like he tells his congregation exactly what's going on, but he's like, "Oh my God, I can't believe people are saying that about me and about the money and about this plane. That's so crazy." But he actually, if that makes sense, like he is actually saying it without saying it.
So to sum it up, everything about this case, when I put the pieces together in my head, screams money laundering, tax fraud, religious abuse, domestic violence, murder, and deceit. I truly do believe that this goes deeper than Micah's death at this point. And while this is still my main focus, I can't pretend I'm not invested in the rest of it as well. Troy Taylor and Wayne Miller have hurt innocent people. There are victims everywhere who have still never gotten justice. I have gotten messages upon messages of victims of Troy Taylor's from 20 years ago, kids that were innocent, that were molested or raped by him, that never got justice either. I do still have some questions and theories that have not been proven anywhere, but this is everything I know. The major thing about Lumberton, I'm getting tons of messages now too. As we speak, my phone is blowing up, my computer's blowing up. People that live in Lumberton that say a lot of their murders go unsolved and their system is extremely corrupt. Lumberton law enforcement leaves a lot to be desired.
That's what we learned from, well, I think we're going to watch a video of Britt's as well, because she comes out with a theory of hers. And so we'll also watch that. But that's exactly what Britt said too, that people from South Carolina, Lumberton area, Robeson County, they were messaging her and saying like, "No, this is corrupt. We do not drive through that county. It is a terrible sheriff's department." I mean, this is validating and confirming.
The entire system was hacked back in April, and it's a small town with a lot of crime, which means a small department, which also means a good old boy system could certainly be in place with the amount of money the Millers have. I wouldn't be surprised if someone was hired to kill Micah, especially because the Lumberton law enforcement has not returned any phone calls or emails to my knowledge. This is apparently a pattern in every single murder case or crime in Lumberton that has been committed for a long time.
And very similarly to Solid Rock Church, when I put something on Facebook, when I tag Solid Rock Church, which they're no longer on Facebook from my recollection, or they just blocked me, which that could also be, I tagged Robeson County Sheriff's Department in a few posts, and they just untag everything. They just continually untag. And we'll also look at another post, another TikTok that Kyler did in reference to reaching out to the Robeson County Sheriff's Department for their drone footage, and they just like come back, "Oh, it was deleted," or like very, very just like, "Oh," and it wasn't a, "Hey, we're gonna do everything we can to try and retrieve the footage," or we understand that this is a big deal. We're doing, like, it wasn't even nice. It was just, it was deleted, or like, we can't find it. It was a very strange behavior.
So why was Micah in Lumberton? Like I said, they don't have family there. There's no reason for her to be there. I've also been getting messages about the gun, like whose gun was used to shoot her. It was probably not Micah's gun. Micah's not the type of person to have a gun, although she had been getting threats, so maybe it was her gun.
This is an interesting thing she's saying, because in an affidavit, it listed that, so when they were getting separated, they had an affidavit, I do believe it was an affidavit, but a legal binding document that did have Micah's materialistic, like, things that would go to her, and on that it said firearms. So she legally owned, it didn't say how many, but I mean, I would assume that she went to go get the other firearm, the Sig Sauer, just because maybe JP like held her guns or disposed of them or whatever. But even her dad said, like, no, like, she knew how to shoot. Like, I can assume that she was raised around firearms. um I don't understand why she did say that, because Micah also told her dad that she wanted a gun for protection. So I wonder, it's interesting what she just said.
I have not been able to confirm anything about the gun. But this sums up everything I know. If I learn more, I will post it on Facebook and here. I will continue putting the pieces together, not just for Micah, but for all of their all of Troy and Wayne's victims. Additionally, there is a fundraiser set up for Micah's blood family on my Facebook. I have verified that it's legit and the money is going where it should. So, again, thank you everyone that has made this.
I find it interesting that she keeps saying blood family. I'm sure that there's like a reason, but it's interesting. All right, we're gonna continue to watch this video here.
Well, this has been a wild day. I just finished an interview with Justin on TikTok on his live. It's on YouTube. I will link it here in the captions, but it was an hour-long interview with everything I know about this case. So that was really cool, and if you want to go watch it, you can. Also, there's a couple new things that have come to my attention with the help of my lovely wife. She discovered that the church website, the solidrockmb.com, has been taken down. When you search for it on your...
I think it is up again. I think she was right. It was down for a bit, but I think it is up right now.
Browser, it does not come up when you search it on Google. The actual link does not work, but the sections underneath it do. So you can still go look at the past videos. You can still go look at the give section, of course, and the other like individualized pages.
Yeah, it is no longer there, which is, well, I lied. It was no longer there at this time, but I think they took it down to, in my opinion, allegedly delete and or edit some things. But it is up now. Actually, Solid Rock MB. Well, just look at it. Yeah, it is up. I wonder what they took down, if they did. Ooh, I wonder what's under missions. Solid Rock Africa mission, one that we know, the Hope. Overcomer, Solid Rock Pakistan. Yeah, there it is. Would you look at that? Solid Rock Pakistan Ministry International Mission. Sponsor a child. What children receive, what you will receive. Oh God, that's so sad, dude. It is so it is so sad to think of these kids and these people in Pakistan, Africa, who are thinking, like, oh, people are coming to help us. You know what I mean? Like, people are finally um, helping us, and we're learning about God. And then you, you meet these pieces of shit, and but they are just using these kids and using them. I don't want to, I guess I don't want to say kids, because they may not have been, I don't know if they were minors, underage, or whatever, but they're using these innocent, regardless, all of them are innocent people, and just taking full advantage because they're coming to you for help. And dude, it, I literally have zero words. Like, fucking, just fucking wood chipper, right? Like, terrible, terrible. Okay, so right now we are going to watch the two videos that the men, I think they're just men. Yeah, men, both young men and older men are are making videos explaining. Well, let me go ahead and just read the caption, and then we'll watch the video. Since JP's daddy decided to come out of hiding and defend his actions, let's start giving him the attention he deserves too. So what she's referring to is essentially JP's alibi of not being near Micah when she died. I do believe that he came in and was like, no, my son would never do this. He was doing fill in the blank, fill in the blank. He was like super, like, defending JP. So, and as soon as he did that, a lot of the investigators, which I know that she has said that I'm not an investigator, but she is one, she is going with the PI, and they're working together. So, I mean, she is a social media investigator. I'll put that as her title. But it allowed a lot of these social media investigators, such as Robbie Harvey and Britt, to do a freaking nose dive into JP's dad. Okay, continuing on reading. This video was uploaded 8 months ago. That is not a long time. A long time ago. I didn't finish my sentence. In this video, a pastor with his church youth exposed Reginald Wayne Miller in Pakistan, urging him not to come to the country. Miller had used money to wrongly imprison individuals, including the pastor, for 7 days on false charges. He employed money to falsely accuse people, concealing his true identity to continue harming children in Pakistan. I connected with well-known Pakistani Christian advocate who assisted the pastor in seeking justice. Advocate Farouk Bashir. I do think it's a hard name, but I'll sound it out as best as I can. Supported the Pakistani pastor, revealing that Miller sent money for a car to the church. However, Miller intended, oh my God, I can't. Miller intended for his male lover in Pakistan to use and keep the car. Currently, the lover resides in the USA with Miller and Robert Troy Taylor in Myrtle Beach. That's who Kyler was talking about. While the car remains in use by the lover's father in Pakistan. Advocate Farouk Bashir will share more details soon to uncover Miller's illicit activities and his associations in Pakistan, where he exploits individuals for his own gain. Abusing children and innocent people is the Miller family business. Wow, yeah, she's right. I hope this gives them the attention they wanted. And I'll go ahead and go to the comments first here, because Farouk did comment, and he says, I'm a Christian lawyer in Pakistan. I helped the pastor when he was unfairly jailed for 7 days. It was hard to see him in prison praying for justice. I admire his courage to fight evil. I'm backing him legally with evidence from kids. People from the USA or Pakistan supporting those hurting others worldwide should question themselves. Are all the victims from the past 50 years lying? Victims from all over are sharing their stories. I read articles and watched YouTube videos about Micah Miller's tragic death. I feel so sad for her family losing their 30-year-old daughter. Our legal team will support the pastor whenever he needs us. He's not making up things. He's a victim and a witness. Sending love from Pakistan to the Christ community in the USA, praying for justice. All right, we're going to watch this video. Let's see if there are any what I'll do is put the transcript on the right hand side because they don't have subtitles, and I understand their accents are very, very thick. However, if you do tune in and pay attention, you can make out words pretty clearly. However, I will put in the transcript to the right hand side if you do want to read it. Here we go.
Hello, Brother Jerry. We hope you are doing well. We just want to inform you that we don't want to work with Dr. Miller, and we don't want Dr. Miller in Pakistan.
Also, I want to tell you, our church families and school students are not satisfied with them. Also, our team don't feel safe to work with them.
We don't want to work with Dr. Miller.
Dr. Miller started a ministry with us, and after 8 or 9 months, he focusing on only one family, and is not paying attention to the church, school, and also Bible college. So that's why we don't want to work with him. We want to do the work of God. So if you wanna work with us, you can. Please, Dr. Miller, stay in USA and don't come to Pakistan.
Stay in USA.
They all say, stay in the USA. That is so freaking sad, dude. Okay. There is another video, another Pakistan video. Let me read this to you. In this new video from Pakistan, filmed on the 16th of May, a pastor is seen with his youth and children from his school exposing Reginald Wayne Miller, the father of John Paul Miller. The pastor uploaded a video on YouTube 9 months ago, following the tragic death of Micah Miller on April 27th, and after reading stories of numerous victims worldwide, the pastor from Pakistan bravely risks his life and reputation by confronting evil. After being expelled from his initial host in Pakistan, Reginald Wayne Miller collaborated with the pastor to establish a separate church and school in Lahore. Lahore. When the pastor observed Wayne's inappropriate interactions with children and boys. Oh my God. Okay, so yeah, children and boys. Castrate, man. Castrate him. He initiated investigation. Despite giving Wayne Miller time to repent, the pastor continued to receive reports of concerning behavior and witnessed the Wayne Miller's passiveness towards his male partner. Wayne Miller collected donations from his U.S. donors but misused the funds on his lover and personal expenses instead of church-related matters. Oh, okay. Okay. So he is receiving donations for the school, for so he has a school and the Christian school, and then I thought there was something else. Was there something else? A Bible college. I think that's the same thing. So he's receiving the money, but then like doting on, I don't even want to say that because that sounds like positive, but he is spending it on his lover. That's absolute insanity. The pastor chose to speak out after 9 months of silence, prompted by Micah Miller's death and growing demands for justice. Well, in Pakistan, the pastor was unjustly imprisoned for a week by individuals paid off by Wayne Miller solely for trying to intervene. Despite his ordeal, the pastor remained steadfast in seeking justice during his time in confinement. With the legal assistance of renowned Christian lawyer advocate Farouk Bashir, the pastor was eventually freed from captivity. Presently, Wayne's male partner resides with him in the United States at Robert Troy Taylor's residence in Conway, South Carolina. Wow, they're just throwing that town right out there. I will be speaking with Farouk in the coming days. Okay, perfect. Let's go look at the comments because I know that and Kyler, she commented on her own post and says, "Hey everyone, if myself or my family go missing or die, we didn't do it ourselves or run away." It is very scary when you feel like you have to put that on your own posts. So Farouk, I hate that I don't know how to say this now. I don't want to like butcher it, but I also want to try, but you know what I mean. I'm a Christian lawyer in Pakistan. I helped the pastor when he was unfairly jailed for 7 days. It was hard to see him in prison praying for justice. I admire his courage to fight evil. I'm backing him legally with evidence from kids. People from the USA or Pakistan supporting those hurting other worldwide should question. Okay, so this is the same post as the other one. Here's another one that he posted. I will not allow anyone to accuse this young pastor who boldly stands against evil. How can someone support Reginald Wayne Miller's history of crime spanning over 50 years? The pastor from Pakistan shares experiences of victims and witnesses in the last 3 to 4 years. What about Reginald? He just put the letters. What about Miller's history of associates in the USA with numerous victims worldwide? The main issue now is the tragic death of our sister Micah Miller and her history of abusive experiences detailed in videos on Facebook before her passing in March. How can April? It's fine. The main issue now is the tragic. How can anyone accuse this young Pakistani pastor amidst the millions discussing Miller's, his son, and family history of abuse and crimes spanning 50 years? 50 years. Does the pastor sell videos? To whom? And what about those who sell their profession, spirit, soul, body, and faith for money? The pastor is beloved by the community with a packed church every Sunday, an active church and school programs daily. His Facebook profile showcases his activities. I stand with Pastor Zariab, a bold fighter against evil, and he will not tolerate slander against him. Anyone seeking to defend Reginald Wayne Miller or his son must provide answers to the millions worldwide, since this is now an international news story. Well, go you, dude. That's awesome. He's like, not today. So we're gonna watch this video here, and then after this video, I think we're going to dive into an article all about JP's dad. It's a long one, but we can get through it because we need to know. We just need to know what's going on, right? We need backstory. It's getting so much deeper than what we had already thought, and it's like been deep this whole time. It just keeps getting deeper and deeper. So here we go.
It's 5 o'clock, and right now, in the name of Lord Jesus Christ, today is 16th of May, and the time is 5 o'clock, and right now we are making this video for our American friends, especially for the family of Sister Mica. We want to inform you that the Pastor Reginald Miller, who worked with us in 2021, 22, and middle of the 23rd. After that, when we got complaints about him regarding the boys and the kids, when I got complaints, me and my team, as you know, we had a video on YouTube. You can watch that video. That in that video, when we told him that our kids and our people are not safe with him and they don't want to work with him. So me and my team, we decided that we will not work with this man and we won't need his money. From that day, he is not working with us. And if he is raising funds on the behalf of our ministry, I want to tell you that he is not working with us. And he is mentioning again and again that the ministry is using the car which he bought for the ministry, but he gave to his male lover, Suleiman Yusuf. And we want to inform you that the car is not in use for the ministry work, but in use for the father of his male lover, who is right now with him in America. So we also want to inform you, because of this guy, when I knew all of his story about the boys, about the kids, that how he has a bad behavior with the kids and with our team members and with some of the other boys, I stand against him. And when he knew that I am standing against him, he put me into the prison for 7 days. And after that, when I was in the prison, he demanded and he wanted forcefully to take this ministry, to take this school, and he wanted that he will run this ministry. But me and my team, we promise with God that we will not give these kids in bad hands. So I told my team that if anyone happens with me, because I was in the prison, so I told my team that you need to stand in faith and you need to fight against the devil. So I told them that you don't need to give him the ministry and give him the charge to all the ministry. And I told them that if God has a plan for me to run this ministry, God will do everything for you and for me. And He's doing. Right now, I watched so many videos, I watched so many posts, I have seen many posts about Sister Mica, with Sister Mica's family, and we want to fight against that devil, and we don't want that devil deceives the people of Christ. So you need to boycott the pastors like that. Also, we demand justice for Sister Mica from Pakistan. So all the kids are here with me and they stand for Sister Mica. They are standing for Sister Mica, and we are praying for Sister Mica's family, praying for peace and comfort, and we want justice for Sister Mica. Justice for Sister Mica! Justice for Sister Mica! Justice for Sister Mica!
I think that these guys know that there's something fishy. I don't even want to say fishy because it's so much deeper than just, fishy. But I think that these guys think that there is a connection here. So what we are going to do, I do believe it's on Kyler's Facebook. We'll actually watch this really fast. It is Michael Francis, who is Micah's dad. He went on, what news was this? I'm not sure, but he goes on to say the things that Micah told her dad of the sexual immorality that JP was essentially forcing her to partake in.
Prostitutes and pornography.
Absolutely, yes. And Micah even confirmed that by saying, and this is so sad because she didn't even tell me until this year, until literally like a few months ago, because like I said, you know, she was trained by him to keep everything covered. He constantly would say during sermons, we need to forgive each other, we need to not hold grudges, we need to not whatever, but yet he would use that information later to hold someone under pressure to do some bidding for him. Well, she said, Dad, he had me in the car. We would be driving after dinner, and he would just say, hey, let's go get a prostitute. Just like nonchalant, no big deal.
You like say that to her? Like,
yeah,
did he want her involved in a threesome?
He wanted some kind of a threesome?
Absolutely. He would get someone in the car, and okay, let me back this up too, because this is an important thing to say. John Paul uses things and of course twists the narrative. He used her remarks to say she was crazy because she made a comment saying, if I'm pregnant at this time, it could be a black baby. And he said, that's just so dumb. That doesn't make any sense at all. She's crazy. Well, he had sex in front of her with a black guy because she didn't want to have anything to do with it. And then he admitted in their area and such, and for his pleasure. And because Micah didn't want to participate at that point, she was just shocked. And so she was just thinking there's, you know, that could be possible. That's why she said that, not because she's crazy, because he submitted her to that. He demanded it of her. And that there was multiple occasions of this happening.
I'm so sorry, Michael.
With various people, various prostitutes.
This is so disgusting. That is so like that is so sad and so vile. It's so zero words. So here is a video. I told y'all we were just skipping here and there. So much easier to screen record than to screen record every little baby thing. So I appreciate y'all for sticking with me. This is the video of Kyler and their PI. So we're gonna watch this as well.
Hey guys, I'm here with DB, the private investigator that I've been working alongside on this case. We went to the state park today and we parked our car where Micah parked her car that day. We walked to the spot where she was found. It took about 15-20 minutes, you'd say.
Okay, I wanted to watch this because do you remember on the 911 call when Miller told the dispatcher, I want my family to find my body? Well, it is so very interesting. Oh, I forgot about Britt's video. We'll watch this one and then we'll probably end on the mile-long article of JP's dad. So when she said, I want my family to find my body, where her body was a place where you're not just gonna like stumble upon it. You're not just gonna walk your dog and then oop, there it is. It wasn't a situation like that. So we'll hear from them and then we'll hear from Britt of, not of their theories, more of like Britt's theory, but we'll hear more of like how not easily accessible this place was.
To find the place where her body was found. To get there, we had to walk through ankle-deep water, which was pretty interesting. The path was also for like like employees only. It said authorized personnel only, and there was no other way to get there. You have to walk through this very large puddle of water to get there. And we found the flowers that the family had left, I'm assuming where her body was found, in the swamp area. It was very covered in trees. It was pretty deep water. Not really sure how someone would get a kayak in there, much less like find anyone back there. It was very secluded. It was very loud. I'm gonna let him talk a little bit more about, you know, how it would be really difficult to get any kind of boat in there. So
yeah, it was in a very stumpy area, a lot of stumps. So the individual that I spoke to, this fisherman, he advised the water was potentially higher today than it was on the day that he went back there. You know, I'm out there in almost knee-high boots, you know, and the water at that point, there's so many stumps in there that with a trolling motor would be able to be chopped up in a trolling motor. You know, I'm not saying at other times a kayak would not be able to get back there. It's a potential thing that could have happened. We also went to the office and we asked about the cameras that were on the trail or any other cameras. The lady kind of giggled and wanted to avoid the question, instead that she was not able to divulge that information to us. We only saw one camera at the office, and that was walking in. Other than that, we did, again, like Kyler said, we went down the trail. It wasn't, you know, the greatest path to walk. Definitely needed some knee-high boots. And there were burn marks in the area, like she said, you know, potentially, you know, rounds that could have been shot into the ground of the location that we were at. But I was able to confirm through the fisherman that that was the spot that he did find Micah's belongings.
yeah, so unfortunately, like, we still have a lot of unanswered questions, but the burn marks on the ground were really weird. They weren't consistent with any kind of like burn pile, or I mean, they were very small burn marks on the ground. We weren't able to find the bullet hole in the tree, but that's something that's really hard to find anyway. And you know, we didn't have binoculars or anything, but it was definitely a very eerie feeling to be there. And yeah, I mean, we're gonna just keep digging and you know, hopefully now that people see that DB is real and legit, if you have any tips, if you were at the park that day, if you know someone who was at the park that day that would be willing to speak with us, you will remain anonymous, and it would really help this case so we can figure out what happened. And again, I want to emphasize that neither of us are getting paid for this. We're doing this during our spare time to find out what happened, because
I didn't. I knew that Kyler, she probably wouldn't get paid, but I thought, my assumption was that the Miller family hired him.
we know that people want answers, and we feel like this is something we're supposed to be doing. So we're in it for the long haul. So if you have any tips, you can message myself or him. I'm gonna link his TikTok that he made for this case in the link below this video. So thanks, guys.
Great. Appreciate it.
Here we go. Let's listen to her theory, and y'all let me know in the comments below if you agree or what your theories are of what Britt is gonna say.
I have literally given myself hives today from holding this information in. So I'm gonna get it out. About a week and a half ago, I filmed a video and sent my theory to the team that I'm working with on this investigation. And in the video, I explain my theory on how I think Micah ended up where she was at and what I think it can tell us about the case. Subsequently, in the amount of time that has gone by since I filmed that video a week and a half ago, there's a lot of information that came out that we have since confirmed. We were running theories on, investigated, flew drones over, ran the theories out, the people that I'm working with, we got confirmation on a lot of the things that were theories a week and a half ago. Now they don't seem to be so far-fetched anymore, and I feel like it's time to make a new video with confirmation on the things that were suspected a week and a half ago. I have to be honest with you, I am nervous to post this one, and I feel like there's nothing left to lose, and out with it. I'm just gonna put it out there. Mind you, this is a theory. These are all alleged opinions, and I'm gonna let the court of public opinion do its thing. Okay, so I briefly explained this the other day, but here is 41 Grocery and Grill, the highway that Micah would have been on if she went to Dick's Pawn Shop and was driving up to Lumber River, would have taken her in this general direction. She ends up getting off a highway here and drives over here to 41 Grocery and Grill. The thing that's interesting about this that I can't get over is that it's a long drive off the highway, and if the goal was to get gas and a drink, she has to get off a highway and literally pass the Sunoco the second she gets off the highway. My question has always been, why did she ever end up here, which will be a whole separate video. We're just going to talk about another way she could have gotten from this location up to Lumber River without ever being spotted. A couple things come into play here. Number one, the distance between these two locations by car is one thing, but the distance between these two locations by river is a whole nother ballgame. So I'm just gonna talk to you while you see this journey here. This is 41 Grocery and Grill. It goes straight to a highway, and 6 minutes away is a small inlet called Gallivan's Ferry. It's a boat inlet. So I mentioned this in the video the other day. You're gonna see this is Lumber River. It goes straight all the way to Lumber River. But what we didn't know at that time was that Tom Winslow, or friends with JP Miller, who also went to Solid Rock Church, owns 200 acres of land that sits directly next to the border of South Carolina and North Carolina. And the property that he owns here literally is outlined by Lumber River. Of course, it's not illegal to own property. He's welcome to own as much property as he wants, and this is all alleged. We don't know necessarily what happened on that property, if the property plays a role, but the fact that that property is sitting on the river where Micah was found is obviously a red flag. When we start to think about that, the property is outlined by, it looks like a snake, this river here, continues onward into another town, and then it lands itself into Lumber River State Park, where Micah's body was found. The thing that we need to pay attention to is the fact that Micah's family talked all about the crime scene here. Then we also had investigators go out, News Nation went out with the fishermen, and on top of that, Kyler Marlowe and the investigative team that she's working with in DB have gone there in person, found the location, saw that it's about a 15 to 20 minute walk from the car, which is not super overwhelming. However, if the goal on the phone, the 911 call, was to be found, the part that we all seem to get stuck on and find curious is that she waded through waist deep water to get to this restricted area in order to herself in a slough of water that is completely off the path that you would ever take to like venture into the woods here. So she was in a restricted area. She was found in the water. She was found over 130 feet away from the gun and the shell casings, and made a phone call to ping her location that she wanted to be found. I have a problem with that information. I superimposed the picture of Tom Winslow's property on top of actual Google Earth. So you could see the outline of his property sits on the border of South Carolina, and his backyard is Lumber River. And what's really interesting to me is that there's easy access points here straight into the river that are off of dirt paths. So now we have the last point of being seen, which was 41 Grocery and Grill. We have a 6 minute away entry point into the river, Gallivan Ferry. Then we have a stopping point along the way, which is Tom's property. Not saying these things happened, but I think it's quite interesting that we're still driving straight up the river and hit another spot here. And then the police report said that Micah was found in this one specific spot, and when the family was brought out there to look at it, when Kyler and DB went out there to look at it, when other investigators in News Nation went out there to look at it, What's so concerning is that she was found in a restricted area away from where everyone else would be. But you know who wouldn't really know that? Someone who was on a boat. Someone who was on a boat wouldn't know that the pathway from the car into the water was in a restricted area. Someone who walked through would. So Micah would have known that she was walking through a restricted area. There would have been signs up. She would have seen things that said restricted area, and she would have stayed on the path. But someone who didn't know that that was a restricted area would have been someone who took another method into the park besides the pathway. Like, for instance, the water. So, the thing that has bothered me since the beginning is that the grocery and grill, she would have had to get back on the highway either this way or go straight up this way. If she went by boat, either willingly, which I doubt, or unwillingly, there's a piece of information that never made sense as well that I think is connected to this. Remember the phone call that Micah made to 911 and said, the dispatcher asked her, what town are you in? I don't think you're in Robeson County. And she says, Fair Bluff? I want to show you the last town with service. Nope, you're looking at that right. The last town from Grocery and Grill, there's many of them. And one of them that she wouldn't drive through is Fair Bluff. And the state park is not in Fair Bluff. But you know what is in Fair Bluff? The river. The river is in Fair Bluff. Gallivan's Ferry goes all the way up to Tom's property, and guess what the last town is between Tom's property and Lumber River State Park is? Fair Bluff. And when Micah on the phone says,
what's the address of your emergency?
Hi, are you able to trace the location of my phone?
Let me see. You don't know where you're at?
In National Park.
What's the phone number you're calling me from?
843-655-5242.
Where's the park located at?
In Fair Bluff.
Fair Bluff? You want to know why? Because the last town you can make a phone call from is Fair Bluff. And guess what doesn't go there? The highway. Either direction. The highway, it goes around it in either direction. But guess what doesn't go around it? The river. So the fact that she was in a restricted area on the river, and the only way you wouldn't know that is if you entered in through the river and not on the pathway. My heart is beating out of my chest.
How freaking bananas is that, dude? It is, I think she hit the nail on the head. Okay, finally, now I am going to find this article that's on Kyler's Facebook page here, and this is all about, it's from Fitz News, and this is all about JP's dad, and in my opinion, how much of a shitbag he is. This is a quite long article, but I think it's important that we know this. So sit back and listen to me read to you. And again, this is going to be in the description box below if you would like to read through it yourself. When the father of Pastor John Paul Miller broke his silence regarding the suspicious death of his daughter-in-law, Micah Miller, he was returning to family territory. Reverend Reginald Wayne Miller, whose ministry began in rural South Carolina 5 decades ago, has found himself at the center of international media scrutiny on several prior occasions. At the age of 75, Reg Miller has had decades of experience navigating scandals, most of them of his own making. In the lengthy statement provided the UK Daily Mail, the Miller family patriarch described his late daughter-in-law as a very, very sick woman. Her quotes, her family refused to believe how sick she was, he said. She was a very, very sick young woman. Reg Miller further claimed his son had nothing to do with Micah's death, in that he was not with another woman when Micah's life ended on the afternoon of Saturday, April 27th. Did you see the smile on her face buying the gun? He asked in his statement. Is that a distraught woman? Did you ever see any crying or upset in her voice in the 911 call? No. That's the point. That's literally the point. No, because she was in one of her psychotic states. Oh my God. All right. Miller's statement did not address the alleged abuse and harassment his son is said to have visited upon Micah, or similar behavior allegedly inflicted on other women dating back decades. He also failed to address any of the scandals that have landed him in the media over the years. Before John Paul was born, Reg Miller had embarked on a promising career as the founder of a Bible college, pastor of one of the largest charismatic churches in South Carolina, and a televangelist with a regionally broadcast program. The year John Paul was born, his father, who was 30 at the time, was described by a reporter as having the looks, the charm, and heaven knows the ambition to become a leading figure in the charismatic movement. In the years that followed, though, Reg Miller's rising star was dimmed by a series of reported improprieties and a bathhouse arrest that prompted him to relocate and alter his course twice. In time, the evolution of his ministry's business plan brought federal charges against the scandal-ridden college president. As recently as 2023, Reg Miller found himself the subject of a wave of new allegations involving inappropriate behavior on an international missions trip. Fitz News has scoured court and public records, newspaper archives, and other sources for details on the storied career of this charismatic preacher man. In particular, years of reporting by David Wren, formerly the Sun News, helped greatly in reconstructing the timeline. The early years from pastor to founder. In 1970, Miller began preaching as pastor of Tabernacle United Methodist Church near Pamplico, South Carolina. 2 years later, his entrepreneurial spirit led him to establish his own church, the Florence Tabernacle in Florence, South Carolina. I think it's very interesting to put he started a church and entrepreneurial spirit in like this same sentence. It's weird. By the mid-1970s, he expanded his influence further by founding Glory Land Bible College, which would later evolve into Cathedral Bible College. Miller's ministry gained considerable attention while his television program, Good Morning Jesus, aired across 5 states and Canada. This further amplified his reach. The PTL scandal. Miller's rise to prominence during the 1970s and 1980s paralleled that of the PTL Club, the South Carolina-based television ministry of James Baker and Tammy Faye Baker. Theirs was a familiar dynamic. Even those who don't recall a word of Jim Baker's preaching likely recall the appearance of his singing, crying, mascara-streaming wife, yes, or at least subsequent portrayals of her on Saturday Night Live. PTL's fall from grace occurred in 1987 amidst financial scandals and sex scandals. Jim Baker admitted to a non-consensual sexual encounter with his church secretary, Jessica Hahn, who later became a regular on Shock Jock Howard Stern show. This is crazy. How difficult is it to be a Christian and to not have financial scandals or sex scandals. Really, y'all, it's not that fucking hard. As for Baker, he was indicted on federal charges for diverting $165 million in PTL donations for his personal use. During this time, Jerry Falwell, a prominent Baptist televangelist, tried to take over PTL, initially with Baker's backing. Falwell's actions were met with resistance by charismatic leaders who did not share the same doctrine. Charismatic churches celebrate what they call the gifts of the Holy Spirit, speaking in tongues, prophecy, and faith healing. But fundamentalists like Falwell, the self-appointed leader of the moral majority, did not. As a battle raged between the two sects, Miller seized his time to shine. In April 1987, he was featured in the article in the Los Angeles Times declaring, "I would rather see PTL closed down than to see it used by Jerry Falwell when we've spent years building it." Miller accused Falwell of igniting religious warfare between charismatics and fundamentalists, and called for the resignation of Falwell and 5 non-charismatic members of the PTL board. Even so, Falwell prevailed and took over the failing PTL enterprise. Despite raising $20 million to support the ministry in Heritage USA, the Christian theme park near Charlotte, North Carolina, Falwell was unable to resurrect the bones of the corporation from bankruptcy. Miller's moment in the spotlight passed, but only temporarily. In the late 1980s, a Florence television station devoted a 5-part investigative report detailing Miller's own personal scandal. According to an affidavit filed by his former wife, Susan Miller, during the divorce proceedings, students from Gloryland Bible College accusing Miller of making sexual advances towards them. Their identities were obscured, but the allegations were severely tarnished his reputation. Good. Susan was learning of her husband's alleged indiscretions through other means as well. The same affidavit from their divorce said her world began to crumble after she learned Miller had allegedly made sexual advances towards male Bible college students as well. Incidents she learned of only after being approached by their concerned wives. Oh, wow. In 1993, Miller attempted to leave these bad optics behind when his family, the church, and the college relocated to Myrtle Beach with a new and improved vision for his ministry. The campus on the Strand. Upon arriving on the coast, Miller once again set about to fulfill his big plans. He wanted to take over a portion of the closed Myrtle Beach Air Force Base and transform it into seminary campus for international students, while also making it a home of the Cathedral Baptist Church. According to Horry County property records, Cathedral Baptist Church purchased a 2-acre parcel from U.S. Air Force in September 95 for $280,000. The acquisition of the former Air Base Chapel was met with resistance from some redevelopment stakeholders who saw the property as valuable commercial space. Even so, the 40-year-old brick chapel became the home of Cathedral Baptist Church when services resumed there on July 30th, 95. Miller further had his sights set on another 10 to 15 acres, including empty dormitories he wanted to acquire and use it for the campus for Cathedral Bible College. Around the same time, Cathedral was approved for a student visa program. No. But it was never accredited through the U.S. Department of Education. That's good. The Doctorate of Divinity program is offered was not transferable, nor was it equivalent to college credit. Usually Christian colleges are not accredited. That's not a new thing. On February 25th, 2006, Reg Miller married his second wife, Leslie Oaks, in Myrtle Beach. A few months later, John Paul followed in footsteps of his father, founding his own church, its name Solid Rock Ministries. A few months later, in September of 2006, Reg Miller was arrested in a bathhouse. Oh my God. A bathhouse at Myrtle Beach State Park. The Horry County Police Department charged him with lewdness and prostitution after he allegedly exposed himself to an undercover officer. Though Miller entered a pretrial intervention program resulting in the charge against him being expunged, the incident appears to have precipitated his departure from Myrtle Beach. Another location, another controversy. Following his arrest, Miller relocated to Marion, South Carolina, bringing Cathedral Bible College with him. However, his troubles were far from him. In 2012, he contracted with the Marion County Healthcare Foundation to acquire a former hospital in the hopes of turning it into college campus. Around the same time, Cathedral Baptist Church sold the 2-acre parcel it had obtained from the Air Force to Solid Rock Ministries, wow, for $300,000. Okay, so what was once the Bible college that his dad created now turned into Solid Rock. But while Miller's charted a pathway towards his ministry, couldn't help its nose clean. In 2014, 8 international students accused Miller of forcing them to work long hours for little pay, while under constant threat of having their visas revoked. They described a pervasive climate of fear and poor living conditions, including extended periods without hot water, heat, or air conditioning. The food provided them was expired and insufficient, they added. The students further alleged that their classes were a sham designed to exploit their labor. In defiance of federal minimum wage laws, the students reported working between 30 and 56-hour weeks, wow, at the college and at Miller's home for only $50 a week in compensation. Any resistance or complaint to these conditions was met with threats to their legal status as visiting students, they told investigators. He looks fucking pitiful. In the aftermath of these allegations, Reg Miller was arrested on May 14, 2014. His bond was set at $250,000. And in June of 14, he entered a plea of not guilty in response to the charges filed against him. Miller later changed his plea to guilty and entered into an agreement with federal prosecutors. As part of that deal, Miller agreed to plead guilty to fraud in foreign labor contracting, visa fraud, and willful failure to pay minimum wage. Interestingly, Miller's federal plea agreement originally included a polygraph provision, similar to one that contained in the federal plea agreement signed by Alex Murdaugh. As part of that provision, he agreed to submit to a lie detector test when requested by the government. Curiously, that provision was marked out of Miller's plea agreement. While Reg Miller was awaiting sentencing, his second wife sued for divorce on August 4th, 2015. In October of 15, Miller was sentenced to time served, ordered to pay $75,000 restitution, and given 3 years of supervision. Until his sentence was complete, Miller was required to forfeit his passport. 2 years into supervision, Miller wrote a letter to the judge requesting early release and specifically the return of his passport so he could travel the world. In this letter, Miller stated he was suffering from a heart condition. He stressed the importance of restoring his ability to travel, not so he could vacation, but because he wanted to spend his time doing mission work and establishing churches and colleges overseas. From 2000 to 2015, Cathedral Baptist Church racked up thousands of dollars in state and federal tax liens. While churches are exempt from income taxes, they are not exempt from all taxes. For example, churches with employees are still obligated to pay payroll taxes. Horry County Public Records detail 8 tax liens amounting to $14,838 in addition to a federal lien from the U.S. Department of Justice for $75,000, resulting from Reg Miller's federal charges. This is so much, it's making my damn jaw hurt. Pakistan. Here we go, Pakistan. Following his federal conviction, Reg Miller once again rebranded his organization and resumed the administration of the Bible College. He also engaged in a number of overseas missions. Last fall, about 8 months prior to Micah's death, allegations surfaced surrounding Miller's behavior while in Pakistan. Specifically, a YouTube video featured statements from multiple Pakistani men who implored Miller not to return to their country. "We don't want to work with Dr. Miller," members of the Abundant Life Christian Assembly in Pakistan said on video. "We don't feel safe with him." Fitz News reached out to the U.S. Department of Homeland Security in an effort to determine whether there is an investigation into Miller's actions in Pakistan. As of writing this, we are still waiting for their response. Keep it tuned to Fitz News as we continue to follow every viable lead in this case to pursue answers. In addition to our research director, Jen Wood, traveling to Myrtle Beach, we have deployed multiple Freedom of Information Act requests. Okay, that's what that is. FOIA, the Freedom of Information Act requests involving the many controversies and suspicions that have continued to surface since the death of Micah Miller. Anyone with information, please contact them. So the FOIA, if we go back to Kyler's Facebook page, for example here, this is a copy of FOIA, Freedom of, what did it say? Freedom of Information Act. This is a copy of FOIA request that was sent to Robeson County for their drone footage of the date of Micah's death. See their response in red at the bottom. I'm not sure how anyone with half a brain could continue defending them, okay? So this is her request via email. And then at the bottom, Robeson County Sheriff's Office has received a request for drone footage. The drone was used for live view and the images are not saved. Thanks. That's literally their response. How just meh is that? That is absolute just disgusting, dude. All right, y'all. So after that article, I'm a bit tapped out. So to recap here, what we discussed today was mostly about JP's dad, which, since this investigation is so incredibly deep, I thought it was very important to look behind the scenes, not even like behind the scenes, but really, really deep into the last, how many years was it when he started? I mean, it would be decades of allegations of him actually being accused of things. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree, you know? So we can see generationally from Reg Miller to John Paul Miller to, which I don't know if we need to get into JP's son. I'm not sure how old he is, but get into his son because there are allegations against him too. But I think it is very important, if we want to have justice for Micah, that everything, absolutely everything, is uncovered. Because in my opinion, I think everything from Pakistan to the African mission to this Troy guy, to like everything going on, I think it's all connected. And I think, in my opinion, Micah's death came about because she knew about all of this. She knew too much, and JP and Reg Miller did not want to be found out. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. I do appreciate y'all for watching. I will be doing a video, a reaction of the Micah Miller's celebration of life, her funeral, because I know some of y'all wanted me to react to just JP, like his 30 minutes of just uncomfortableness. I know that some of y'all were wanting to see me react to that, so I'll definitely do that as well. But I'm just going to cut off here, and I do appreciate y'all so very much, and I am so incredibly thankful over all the positivity that y'all are putting in to the comments when it comes about this investigation. So the more we talk about it, the more we just shine a light on this, I think there will be justice for Micah when it comes time. So again, I appreciate y'all so very much, and I'll see you in the next one.